What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we're going to be talking about what Advanced Warfare did wrong. Now for all you people that don't like negativity and you want to see what Advanced Warfare did right, I recorded that a little while ago. I will leave a link to that on the screen right here, as well as in the description below. But today we're going to be a little bit more on the pessimistic side, and we're going to be talking about everything that Advanced Warfare did wrong. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so I am going to start this with a disclaimer. I do enjoy Advanced Warfare. I'm still enjoying Advanced Warfare to this day, but there are a lot of problems with it. So I hope you don't misinterpret this and think that I just hate the game and I'm trying to bash it as much as possible. No, that's not the case. I do enjoy this game. I just want to bring up all of the problems, and hopefully these are lessons that can be learned for future titles. This list is going to be in no particular order, and it is very likely that I'm going to miss some little detail or a few different details that I really don't like about the game, but I just didn't think of at the time. So if I do miss something, let me know in the comment section below. So first up on my list, I have annoying score streaks. Now I'm totally fine with powerful score streaks. I don't mind getting killed by a score streak if someone worked hard to earn it. I'm totally fine with that. What I really don't like are really annoying kill streaks that are just designed to annoy the enemy team basically, or even annoy your own teammates. Bombing Run, I'm looking at you. So the two main ones are Bombing Run, because it has the craziest screen shake for everybody on the map. It's insane how much that screen shake is. And that is extremely annoying, not only for your enemies, but also for your teammates. And I don't think that screen shake should have been nearly the level that it was. If they would have toned that down a bunch, it wouldn't have been quite as bad. But the fact that for like 5 seconds, when even a teammate is calling a bombing run in, you can barely even move your character and see what's going on around you, that's really frustrating. Also, you guys probably guessed it already, System Hack. Now they did actually make System Hack a little bit less annoying from when the game first launched. For those of you that did play the game when it launched, you probably remember the big skull that was on your screen for the entire duration of the System Hack. It was like right in the center of your screen. I don't know whose idea that was, but that was just ridiculous. At least they ended up removing that, but I still feel like it was too far towards the annoying side. Now in previous games, we had the EMP, which is basically the equivalent or the closest comparable thing to the System Hack. And the EMP wasn't that bad. Like, yes, you had no heads-up display, you didn't have any of your electronics, you couldn't call in score streaks, but at least your screen was relatively clear. You could still see what was going on around you without any issues, so you could actually defend yourself a whole lot more effectively than you can while you're system hacked and you can't even see what's going on. Also, something that I feel should never have been in the game whatsoever is the no exo system hack module. The exo movements are something that should never really be impeded. I don't mind them being impeded with like an EMP grenade or something like that, but for a full like minute or however long it lasts when you have extra time modules as well on that system hack, not being able to use your exo movement at all is something that's extremely frustrating and just makes you not want to play the game. When someone calls in a no exo system hack, and especially when you're against a party and you know that there's likely going to be another one coming before this system hack actually finishes, it just makes you want to leave the game. And it's not even like a rage quit, it's just like, I don't really see a point in playing right now because I can't even use the exo movements that are basically essential to play the game. So, you know what, I'm just going to leave because I'd rather not walk around the map like a sitting duck, unable to do anything because of this super annoying score streak. Sticking with that topic of score streaks, I feel like the balance between different game modes for earning score streaks wasn't really there. I feel like they definitely made domination score streaks way too easy to earn. I think they were too difficult to earn at the beginning, and then they just overcompensated for it, and they made the streaks way too easy to earn, and now it just became basically a streak-dominated game mode. And that was kind of frustrating, because then you would go into like Team Deathmatch or Kill Confirmed or something, and it was a whole lot more difficult to earn streaks. I think it was actually balanced a little bit better for the other game modes, but you definitely notice a big difference when you swap between game modes as far as trying to earn score streaks, and I feel like they could have balanced that a whole lot better. And lastly, on the topic of score streaks, is there are a lot of useless score streaks, or what I consider to be useless or just not worth the amount of score that it takes to earn for the particular score streaks. For instance, the XS1 Goliath, that's like the big mech suit that you can get into. It looks like it would be a super powerful and awesome thing, and it's weighted fairly high on the score streak list, so it's not really an easy thing to earn, especially when you start adding modules to it, but it seems extremely weak. Now, I know they could have gone way too far on the other end and made it way too powerful, and I'm glad it wasn't way too powerful at least, but at the same time, when you feel like you'd be better off with a regular gun than you would be in the Goliath, I think there's an issue there. Just the fact that it took so long to kill with that cannon that you had. It took way too long to kill against guys that were jumping all over the place. It just made it feel not really worth it. It felt like you were kind of wasting time where you could be doing better when you were just on your feet using your gun, rather than in this big clunky suit that wasn't even that good at killing people. That's just one example. There are definitely some other examples there, like the Paladin didn't really seem to work as well. I think that was a little bit more due to map design and the exo movements making it pretty easy to dodge inside quite quickly after spawning, or as soon as a Paladin was called in, you could easily get inside and avoid that Paladin. So that was another issue that I think I found as far as balancing goes, because it was the highest streak and it very rarely got you very many kills, whereas something like an assault drone, which is an earlier to mid-level streak, that could get you plenty of kills. It could get you a whole lot more kills than a Paladin could. So moving on to the next thing, let's get into the big issue. This is the issue that I think turned most of the people away from the game, and that is a lack of flow and map control due to the exo movements combined with the map design as well. So as a result of having exo movements, it kind of made it so there were no real lanes, there were no real power positions, or very little power positions, because you could just jump anywhere at any time. You could be all over the place. If someone's using cover, you can just jump up, and that basically negates that cover that they have, because now you have the height advantage on them. And it just made it so the maps don't really play out in a tactical fashion. There's no real flow to it. It's more like just bounce around and kill everything in sight, which does have its own fun factor to it, but it does take a lot of that tactical play and the really smart big picture thinking. It takes a lot of that out of the game. It's more like just rush in, use your reaction time, use your exo movements to be successful, and that was basically all that mattered in the game. It made for a really one-dimensional style of gameplay that didn't require too much forethought. And because of this, it also made it feel as though a single player was a whole lot less useful, or basically helpless. It made you feel helpless as a solo player. In previous COD games, especially I'm talking like laned COD games like Black Ops 2 where the maps had 3 lanes or something like that, a really solid player could easily lock down at least 1/3 of the map. They could lock down one lane by themselves, assuming they're having a good game and they're a really solid player. That just doesn't happen in Advanced Warfare anymore. Somebody can easily get on your flank, they can jump between the different lanes, and it kind of makes that single player feel helpless. And I really don't like that feeling. That might be a little bit selfish of me as one of those players that was able to control the map quite well in games like Black Ops 2. But at the same time, I feel those players should be rewarded for the skills that they have, the skills and the map knowledge and everything that they have. And Advanced Warfare took a lot of that away. Adding to this, the exo movements made it so you never really felt any sense of security on the map. It felt as though enemies could pop up from any direction at all at any given point in time. You never really felt safe. Whereas in the older style Call of Duties without exo movements, you could have a pretty good idea of the areas that your enemies could come from, and you also had a very good idea of where you had a safe zone. So you knew that, for instance, your back was covered because you have some teammates there, and the enemies can't just jump between the lanes in the older Call of Duty games, so it's not like they could just suddenly appear behind you. You had a pretty good idea of what was going on around the map, and you could use that to your advantage to be successful. In Advanced Warfare, it never feels like you're safe anywhere, or very, very rarely at least. And I know this adds a certain element of skill, and there is a bit of a skill gap with that, and I was able to adapt to this by just constantly staying on the move, but it is a little bit draining. And it is also a little bit frustrating because, like I said earlier, it takes away that sense of security and that ability to sort of control the map and feel as though you are actually in control of what's going on around you. Moving on to my next big thing on the list, that is skill-based matchmaking. So skill-based matchmaking, I talked about this a lot before, so I'll just kind of skim over it. The reason I dislike skill-based matchmaking is because I like variety. It's not that I want to play against noobs 24/7 all the time and just drop DNA bombs every game. No, that's not the case at all. I do enjoy the odd tough bot game or game where I don't stand a chance of winning and I'm playing against much better players. I don't mind running into that sometimes. I also really don't mind running into a bunch of noobs sometimes and having a chance of going for a DNA bomb or messing around with a crossbow or just doing some crazy, ridiculous challenge that you wouldn't be able to do against similarly skilled players. This is why I don't like skill-based matchmaking. If you're a good player, you're always against other good players, and you're pretty much forced to use the best things all the time, or else you're going to go 0 and 30, which nobody likes to do. So that's my biggest argument against skill-based matchmaking, is just simply variety. I want variety in my gameplay. But another big argument as well comes from more of a YouTuber or Twitch streamer perspective, and that is reverse boosters. It kind of ruins what it means to be an impressive gameplay, or what it means to have a certain number of DNA bombs or something like that. You can look at a lot, actually I'm probably going to say most Advanced Warfare Twitch streamers out there, they're running on God accounts or reverse boosted accounts, and a God account is basically a reverse boosted account where the stats are completely trashed so that you can only come up against completely trash players basically, or brand new players that have no idea what's going on. They're basically at the level of what a recruit bot would be, a lot of these players anyways. And you see these people dropping DNA bombs like every second game, or every game they're dropping DNA bombs, or they're just doing insane things, getting 100 plus gameplays, 200 plus gameplays. And from somebody that doesn't know what reverse boosting even is, they're thinking, oh my god, this guy is amazing, he is an absolute god at Call of Duty. And then they come and watch guys like me that don't reverse boost, and we're playing against more difficult people all the time, much more difficult people, and we very rarely get into lobbies where it's easy mode like that. They're wondering why you don't have any DNA bombs, and you must suck because you have no DNA bombs, or wow, you did terrible that game because you didn't get a DNA bomb. And they don't even realize what's going on. They don't realize that all those other people are reverse boosting. It's very frustrating from a person like me, from our perspective, when we're trying to go legitimate with it, and all these other guys are basically cheating the system to get ahead. And that's something that I also really dislike about skill-based matchmaking. On the same topic of matchmaking, let's talk about team balancing a little bit as well, because this is something that is also an issue that I find with the game. A lot of the games in Advanced Warfare seem to be decided before the game even begins. Like, you see when the teams get split up, it's like, oh crap, no matter what I do, how well I play this game, I don't stand a chance of winning this game. It's just impossible. It's not going to happen because they have all the really good players stacked on their team, and I'm the only good player on my team. Why am I stuck with all the bad players? The team balancing is just awful. Now, some of that is definitely due to the fact that parties are becoming more and more prevalent, and it basically feels like this game is forcing you to play with parties because of that, and it just compounds the issue and keeps making it worse. I think this definitely could have been fixed a little bit, at least, with a mercenary playlist. I really wish they would have had a mercenary playlist in this game, and I'm really excited that Black Ops 3 is actually going to have a mercenary playlist for the people that don't want to just get stomped all the time by parties. And finally, to do with matchmaking, that is the DLC matchmaking system that they have. So basically, just in case you aren't aware, Advanced Warfare will only put you with people, or put you against people, that have the exact same combination of DLC that you have. So if you only have Map Pack 1 and Map Pack 3, you only ever play with people that have Map Pack 1 and Map Pack 3. You'll never play against people that have no map packs, unless you're in a party, of course, and the people, or somebody in your party has none of the map packs. But we're just talking about if you're playing solo, for instance. You will never play against anybody else aside from the people that only have the first and third map packs, which is completely ridiculous. Black Ops 2 had a much better system where it kind of filtered that out. So it would try to put you with people first that had the same map packs. If that didn't work, it would move on to something else. It would basically cut out your DLC and say, okay, well, we'll search for people that don't have DLC then, and at least you get into a game. Advanced Warfare doesn't have this at all. Also, Modern Warfare 3 had a much simpler system where you could simply, with one button, disable all your DLC, and it would make it that much easier to find games. A couple little fixes like this would have made Advanced Warfare a whole lot more enjoyable for a lot of people that they found it very frustrating that they simply can't find games. Alright, this video is already getting pretty long, so we're going to try and blast through the rest of these things here real quick. The next thing I want to talk about is variants. And my biggest problem with variants is the fact that it brings bloated variety. That's a term that I like to use. I like variety in your ability to use different guns, and every gun feels a little bit different and everything. I don't like bloated variety. So what I mean by bloated variety is, with this variant system, there might be hundreds of guns, or over 100 guns, or whatever it is, but most of those guns are completely useless, and you'll never use them, ever. There's no point in ever using them. Some of them are even worse than the base variant. So it's like, what's the point in even having that gun in the game? And also this leads to the system where the people with the better variants, which are unlocked through luck, the people with the better variants are going to be more successful. Even if it is just a little bit more successful, I'm not saying that the variant makes the player, like a bad player is suddenly going to be god tier with an insanity or something, but it definitely gives them that little leg up, and it's 100% due to luck. And this was a big issue for me with this game. I really didn't like the variant system, and I feel like it caused way too many imbalances with the guns. Because if you look at like a Bal Inferno versus a Bal 223, there is a big difference between the two guns. And it's basically just luck for who gets the 223 and who gets the Inferno. So for me personally, I hope the variant system never returns, or if it does return, I hope it's simply cosmetic changes and doesn't affect statistics whatsoever. Somewhat related to the variant system is advanced supply drops. I want to talk about this as well. I think they handled advanced supply drops very poorly. They're far too expensive for what you actually get out of them, in my opinion, although people are buying them, so I guess maybe they aren't. They might have priced them right because it's working. I find it very frustrating that you can pay for the chance to get something that's better than what someone else has, that has an actual statistic advantage in-game. I feel like that should never happen with Call of Duty, and that does start to borderline towards the pay-to-win system. So I wouldn't mind the advanced supply drop system if they handled it kind of like Counter-Strike Go did, where it was purely cosmetic items that would still bring money in for the franchise. People would still buy advanced supply drops, because a lot of people were buying advanced supply drops simply because they wanted the new gear sets and stuff like that. And good for them. Let them spend all the money they want, making their character look good. That's great. If they're happy spending the money and gambling for that, that's fine by me. But the fact that they can gamble and get a much better gun than I have, or a much better variant than I have, that's when there starts to be an issue, and that's why I don't like advanced supply drops. Moving on to the next thing, this is a whole lot more gameplay related. That is Crutch perks. Now, Advanced Warfare has two very important Crutch perks, and that is Toughness and Blast Suppressor. Blast Suppressor is probably the biggest Crutch perk in the game. I feel like they definitely could have handled the exo movement ripple system. Like if you look on the minimap, when you aren't using Blast Suppressor, you have that ripple that pops up on the minimap. If they would have made that ripple just a whole lot more faint and more difficult to see, and make it so you really have to be paying attention, and it was something that you maybe just caught every now and then I think that would have balanced Blast Suppressor out a whole lot more. Like if you look at how Black Ops 3 handles it, there is a little bit of a flash when you're not using Blast Suppressor, but it's not something that is constantly alerting the enemy to your position unless they're really, really paying attention to their minimap. Toughness, even though I did make the video earlier in the year talking about toughness and how it's not as needed as in previous games, it was still something that I considered to be a Crutch perk that helps you in nearly every gunfight you're going to find yourself in the game. And I feel like it's something that should just be built into Call of Duty from now on. One other perk that is borderline a Crutch perk, it kind of depends on the game mode that you're playing, it's low profile. And part of this has to do with the fact that UAVs have the support module on them. So a lot of people anyways, are constantly running UAVs. So that makes it so it's very helpful to have that low profile. But also the fact that it counters the threat detection module on UAVs, even though most people would think that Cold-Blooded does. It's actually low profile that counters that, so I don't want to be seen through walls, so I basically am always running low profile because I don't want people to see me through walls. Also, low profile counters exo ping, which isn't really used too often, but again, it's kind of surprising that it counters so much in the game. And to me, it's a Crutch perk for almost every single game mode. I mean, if you're playing Momentum or Hardpoint or something like that, maybe it's not quite as useful, but it's still going to be very useful to have. Alright guys, so the last thing I want to cover in this video, I know there's still a lot of little things that I would have liked to cover, but this is already getting way too long. Last thing I want to cover is ranked play. I feel like ranked play was pretty much a big flop, and the biggest reason for this is the fact that variants were allowed in ranked play. And this is something that I feel definitely shouldn't have been in the game. Everyone in ranked play should have access to exactly the same perks, guns, gear. They should have the exact same access also from level 1. Because as far as I remember at least, I could be mistaken, maybe they changed this, you actually have to unlock your guns and perks and stuff in ranked play. You don't have access to everything. It's not all unlocked like it was in Black Ops 2. Instead, you have to actually level up your stuff in order to use certain perks and guns and all of that. And that shouldn't be the case with a competitive playlist. Also, I didn't have too much experience with this because I just didn't like playing ranked play, partially because of the variants, Also because teammates are always leaving and there's very little accountability for that. So I would lose every single game of ranked play I played. I think I lost simply because my teammates would leave every single game and it was now 4-on-3 or 4-on-2 and there was literally no chance of me winning the game. So that's a big reason that I just never played ranked play. But for those of the people that did play ranked play, I saw lots of issues with team balancing and with the way that score was rewarded for winning a game or losing a game, or I guess punished for if you lost a game. So a lot of times I saw several screenshots of people that were like all bronze. Their entire team was bronze division and they were playing against a full team of master division players. That shouldn't be happening in ranked play. It feels like there was no skill-based matchmaking in ranked play, but all the skill-based matchmaking was in public matches, and that is backwards to me. So that covered all the main things that I really wanted to cover in this video. Like I said, there's a bunch of little things that I didn't get to mention, but I don't want this video to go on for an hour. Keep in mind, I know this video is very long and there is a long list of things I didn't like. I still enjoy the game, like I said at the beginning. I just feel there's a lot of lessons that can be learned for what Advanced Warfare did wrong. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have a very long list of stuff as well. Let me know in the comment section below what you feel Advanced Warfare did wrong. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.